Hello, I'm Amber Hasselbring. I'm the Director of Nature in the City. I have been with Nature in the City since 2006, and today my role is really to help coordinate, help fundraise, help support the nonprofit, and help support the staff that help run projects like this, our Green Hairstreak corridor. So the Green Hairstreak butterfly relies on a set of plants to really have a successful habitat project, restoration project. So it's a single species restoration project that we've been working on. But that doesn't mean that a single species is all that benefits. So we have an iNaturalist project that Sarah Gomes set up for us, which is really incredible. We've seen 850 different species that people have found in the corridor. So although this is built around one species, it supports so many others. So this plant is called coast buckwheat, and this is the larval food plant for the butterfly. So adult females lay their eggs, usually like on the tiny hairs of the coast buckwheat plant, and then they emerge as a tiny caterpillar. They start eating the hairs on the plant, on the leaves and on the stems. Then they grow into 4 different size caterpillars, or different instars, which look a little bit different from each other. Then once they're really plump and ready, they fall down to the base of the plant, right in the leaf litter below the coast buckwheat. They make a hard shell chrysalis. They stay in there through almost a whole year, and then they emerge the next spring. So they're a single species, or a single flight. So some butterflies have many different generations through 1 year cycle, but this one just has one. So that's how it works. So we'll see the males emerge first in the springtime, and then the females will come next. And the males are sort of waiting on their flowers. If you look down this way, there's some seaside daisy flowers. So the butterflies, especially the males, will perch on flowers like this and wait for the females to emerge, and then they'll mate immediately, and then the female's job is to disperse the population to other sites. So they fly about 200 feet from their original habitat. The plants that we've planted in the Green Hairstreak corridor are a huge mix. We have, I would say, about 20 different species that we plant regularly. Everything from grasses to buckwheats to seaside daisy to other upland dune plants that grow in San Francisco. So we collect plants from local seed. We plant all San Francisco native plants, and that's what's made the habitat corridor so successful over the years. So I'm going to tell you about a few of the plants that we've planted in the corridor, some of our more showy ones right now. So this one is our coastal California poppy. So this one grows only along the coast, and it's closed right now because it's so cold, but it has kind of a yellow and orange flower. And let's see what's next. This one up here is a shrub that grows in the upland dune habitat. This one's a California sagebrush, so it's got that beautiful, rich sage smell to it. This one's a really great one at combing the fog right out of the air because of how many tiny leaves it has. This one right here is called Dune Tansy. It's another one similar to the sage color of the California sagebrush. This one is a really wonderful one for dunes because it just gives seeds itself and folds down the dunes. Only grows about this high and then just flows down and reseeds. So right up here, you see the coast buckwheat, the butterfly's host plant, coming into flower. So it has tiny little buds that come out about now, and then the flowers are kind of a mauve pink color. So those ones are nice to see. And those are just a few of the plants we have in the corridor. This one is another one that's a really interesting one. It's called bee plant. So if you look at the tiny flowers on this one, they're the perfect shape for different bees to get inside. So what they'll do is they'll land on the flower here, pull it down, and then reach in there with their proboscis, or their tongue, actually bees have tongues, and scoop out the nectar. And then the pollen resource is there for them too. Those are just a couple of the plants we have in the Green Hairstreak corridor. We have many more. And it's just it's a pleasure to be able to learn about and share about all these plants. The Green Hairstreak corridor was started in 2007. A local lepidopterist brought the project to Nature in the City and said, this tiny iridescent green butterfly flies here at Hawk Hill and flies here at Rocky Outcrop, which were remnant upland dune habitat in San Francisco, and also way over up north in the Presidio. So we thought in this neighborhood, which is called the Golden Gate Heights neighborhood, we could work to create a corridor of connected habitats that would connect the two populations that were becoming smaller and smaller every year. So they're about 10 blocks apart from each other. So our strategy when we built out the corridor was to find habitat sites that were public and that were about 200 feet away from each other, so that the adult females could shoot over when they're ready and full of eggs to spread the population. And since 2007, we are taking care of 11 different sites, plus a little bit more here and there in people's backyards and along median strips. And the corridor is connected. We're seeing the numbers of population shift from site to site. So the Green Hairstreak corridor has been a labor of love for so many different people over the years. Since 2007, we've worked with neighbors most closely and also different funders and members to the organization. One of the most innovative parts of the Green Hairstreak corridor is that a group of people got together and they decided to collect seeds and start growing plants from the plants that we initially put into the corridor. And so we plant about 500 plants a year that are grown by volunteers in their own backyards, collected from seeds that we find in the corridor. So it's called the Backyard Nursery Network. And that's been one of the most successful ways that we can run a project like this on a shoestring budget, which is what we are. We're a tiny grassroots environmental nonprofit, and we really depend on innovation and creativity and partnerships to do what we do. So habitat conservation projects like this are really important, restoration and conservation. Like I said earlier, there are 850 different species that can be found in a tiny little urban corridor, and that's really astounding. We all know that plants are the basis of the ecosystem, and insects are the protein layer of the ecosystem that feed all the baby birds, that, and it's just the whole cascade of benefits are really important. Everything from people who live in cities not really being able to get out, and the opportunity to see and experience a depth of nature experience, really important. And also the carbon sequestration benefits and the ecosystem services. I mean, I could go on, but I know that I'm speaking to people who also believe in the same things, but that's why habitat conservation and single species restoration projects are important, as long as they're really